What's up, you guys? My name is Hutch, and I make videos, put them on the internet. Today is Friday, June 20th. It's also the weekend that MLG Anaheim is going down. My buddies, my boys, my peeps over at OpTic, hoping they carry that momentum with them and take a championship this weekend. And on that note, it's also Friday. It's bonding time, so hopefully you've got some like a nice ambiance going. Maybe you've lit a couple candles. Maybe you've got Michael Bolton's greatest hits playing in the background at a reasonable volume to kind of set the tone, but not to overwhelm our interaction. So that you and me get some really close-up 1v1 time, one-on-one, face-to-face, over the internet, not actually seeing each other's faces. Hopefully this can be just a nice romantic evening for both of us. That's what I want, basically, is what I'm saying. On the topic of OpTic, I figured that today's that Friday today being bonding time, a good topic of discussion would be to talk about how I ended up in OpTic way back in the day, and how different it was back then than it is now, and the whole experience of how that came to be. So I'm gonna jump right into it. This was in like October of 2008. I believe. And no, not October. Like November, December, January of 2008, early 2009. Call of Duty World at War had just come out like shortly before. And a lot of people ended up switching back over to Call of Duty 4 when that game came out. Just because it was a sort of a strange thing to do. Go back to World War II after they had already introduced like a modern setting for the warfares. But a lot of people were playing Call of Duty World of War, and a lot of people were still playing COD 4. So it was kind of a cool time. It's like you had these two games that were, I'm sure World of War had more people on the playlist just because it was a newer game, but there were still a lot of people playing COD 4. And so I ended up going back to COD 4, but before I did that, I was looking up some videos on YouTube, and I had just started my own little channel. It was like really shitty sniping videos, like really super shitty, with like no commentary and maybe like the occasional montage. And I looked up some other gameplay, some sniping gameplay for World at War, and I found Hector's channel. And this was before OpTic even had a channel. It was his channel, his personal channel, which is Hexwe to this day. That was OpTic's channel back in the day. And so I found some gameplay of him playing on Cliffside World at War with the Arasaka. And he was using it unscoped. And playing really super aggressive with it. And like just... He was sniping like so quick. I mean, back then, it's like standard now to be quick with a sniper. But back then, not too many people were like that quick and that accurate with a sniper. And I was pretty blown away. And I ended up using the unscoped Arasaka after I saw that gameplay video and stuck with that. And then when I went over to COD 4 and I looked up some other videos that were on his channel, I discovered the whole OpTic team. And so OpTic, what OpTic was back then, it was not an MLG. Like they played game battles. They might have played MLG when MLG was like a lot smaller. But I'm pretty sure they just played game battles for Call of Duty 2 and maybe for like some Call of Duty 4. I'm not really sure. But what they were was they didn't want to call themselves a sniping team or a sniping clan. They wanted to call themselves a team. Like Hector was big on that. But they were guys that played Call of Duty 4 and were fucking just absolute surgeons when it came to using a scoped M40 instead of the ACOG M40. They didn't fuck with the Barrett. It was always a scoped M40A3. And like that was kind of a big deal because when you put the ACOG on the M40A3, it gave it a damage multiplier so that if you shot him in the foot, it would be a one-shot kill. So unless they had Juggernaut, it was always a one-shot kill no matter where you shot him, as long as it wasn't like through a wall or something like that. Then you might get a hit marker. But and also using an M40A3 allowed, or an ACOG allowed you to be more aggressive on smaller maps like this one here. This is some old school gameplay, by the way. I just found some fun, exciting domination COD 4 gameplay on my channel from back in the day, so I just downloaded that, and I wanted to put some COD 4 back here. And so yeah, so what these guys were doing with the sniper rifle, I had never seen that before, and nobody had ever really seen that before. They were doing like reg scope, quick scoping, and playing super aggressive with a reg scope before like people even thought to do something like that. And like it was kind of just like for style points and just to prove, like it was kind of like a show off thing, like, hey, you're using an M16, watch what I can do with this gun, even though you clearly have an advantage on me. And they were also big for 1v1s. Like I'd say more than anything else, more than playing against other teams of snipers and making cool montages, is that like bragging rights as far as 1v1s on shipment went were like, that was pretty much everything when it came to being an OpTic before. And so you'd watch these videos of these kids talking lots of shit and calling out people on the team, and then when they play them on shipment, they would just get absolutely murdered. And this was a really small community too. I mean, this is back when if you had 2,000 subscribers on your YouTube channel, I mean, that was a big deal. And so when I saw these guys doing what they were doing with sniper rifles, I immediately wanted to be a part of that. I just thought it was so cool. And I got a hold of Hector via a YouTube message, and I was like, hey man, what does it take to get a match with you on shipment? Let's do this. And he messaged me back. We added each other. We never played on shipment, but we were playing like in regular lobbies together. And I think one time I just asked him, I was like, how do I try out for the team, man? This looks awesome. And he said, well, you got to play against everybody. You got to beat everybody at least once on shipment. And so I played everyone, and I ended up beating everyone. Not necessarily on the first try that I beat them, but it was like on the second or third, or sometimes first for all of them. And so like as far as 1v1s on shipment went, I think like on the same level as most everybody on the team, with the exception of maybe Psychosis, because that guy was just the spawn killing master when it came to shipment. And the roster was super small back then. It was sulfuric and carcinogenic, I think. Tumorous, Hex, me, who am I? Carcinogen. There it is. Carcinogen, sulfuric, tumorous, Hex, myself, and like two other guys. I can't remember their name, but it was a real small team. But this was like we weren't playing for like money or gold medals or anything like that. It was purely just for bragging rights back then, which I thought was just, I thought it was so awesome to be a part of that. I mean, just to see where it's gone from just like this small little team of snipers to where it is now. I mean, you got to give Hector all the credit in the world for, wow, that aim was just terrible. Were you watching that? How was I even a sniper with aim like that? But seeing where it's come to like to this day from where it was back then is just pretty astonishing. A small little channel of people that just loved calling out shit talkers and just embarrassing them in a 1v1 on this tiny map on COD 4. You know, that from that being the emphasis to like winning fucking X Games gold medals and competing for MLG championships is pretty astonishing. Super happy for those dudes. What ended up happening is I was on the team, and then like right before I got picked up from Machinima, and I knew that I wanted to just focus on like my channel and seeing where that could take me in terms of making revenue off of it, potentially getting a job with the company. I called up Hector and I was like, hey man, no hard feelings or anything like that, but I think I'm gonna pull out from the team and focus on my little thing that I'm doing over here. And it was totally fine. It wasn't like there was any tension or weirdness or awkwardness or anything like that. He was just like, totally. I mean, and after that, nothing really changed. We still played together all the time. I was still doing 1v1s all the time, but I was just really busy doing stuff with, pushing videos to see where they could go and building up a community of that kind of stuff. But, for a time there, like just having OpTic in front of my name really did make me feel like I was like a badass and commanded some respect, because like not as many people knew. I mean, OpTic can't play in a lobby anymore these days without at least someone recognizing them. But back then when you were in OpTic, if you played in like 20 lobbies and maybe one person recognized you, that person would immediately be like, holy shit, this guy's an OpTic. Don't want to fuck around with him, man. All those guys are super good. It was really cool to be a part of that. I mean, you felt like you had some like immediate bragging rights just by having an OpTic in your name. Anyways, that's my story of OpTic. If you have any other questions, leave them in the comments. And that's going to do it. Enjoy your weekend. I'll talk to you later. Peace out. Dead. Whoa, I'm getting shot from blue.